The Swiss stage is over at VCT Masters Toronto, and we capped off the last day of the Swiss stage with one of the most insane matches I have ever seen. An incredible match from Paper Rex versus Team Liquid. We will be talking about that match as well as the match before it that was also pretty solid, Wolves versus Bilibili Gaming. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So this is the board we have today. As I said, we're talking about both matches, but if you want to skip to just the Team Liquid Paper Rex one, I'm not really going to blame you for that. There are timestamps. Anyways, let's start with that Wolves versus Bilibili Gaming, the Chinese matchup. These two teams faced off against each other in the lower final of the VCT China League, and Bilibili Gaming were able to get the better of Wolves in that match. However, that match was only to make it to the grand final of the Chinese region versus actually being at the international tournament. So this was a much more important match in that context, and Wolves were able to weather the storm, play a lot more confident. Building off of their success versus Team Heretics, this team looked quite good against their regional rivals. Looking at map 1, we have Ascent. This one ended up being a 13-5 win in favor of Wolves. This one being Bilibili's pick, so Bilibili losing their own pick, not the best way to start. At round 1, we start with a nice B hold by Wolves. They win that pistol. However, they would then lose the anti-eco. Juicy gets caught. Rushia with a nice flank. It's a 1v1 situation. Suifat can't win it. BLG eco round win. After losing 2 rounds, Wolves would get their next win at round 4. Suifat gets a kill through a wall with his Odin. There's a 2v2 on A. Levius kills Juicy. Lysor kills Levius. Lysor wins the 1v1. So very close round 4 there. Goes the way of Wolves. A pretty important round economy-wise for both teams. Skipping around 7, it's a tied game at this point. Wolves coming off of a timeout. There's a gun fight. It goes the way of Wolves and a really nice site hold to take that lead. Wolves would then win the next 4 rounds in a row, round 9 being a good example. Bilibili push B. Wolves don't let them in and they get a flawless round. So the momentum is all with Wolves. However, BLG would get some rounds to end the half. However, Wolves would have a flawless attack half to end this one. They win the pistol. They don't lose the anti-eco this time. They just roll through Bilibili. Round 18 would be that last round. Wolves get on site. They hold down A. Bilibili just cannot stop anything that they're throwing at them. A flawless half from Wolves, not allowing BLG to get one win on that defense on a map that is pretty defender-sided. YZ was top fragging for his team. He got 19 kills on the Neon, still looking quite good, but not from where he was in previous days. For Wolves, we have Sufat leading the charge with 17 kills, but that was tied with Sprain, 2 very important players to this Wolves lineup who have been having a very good tournament. So Ascent was a bit of a stomp from Wolves, but it was close up until that second half. However, Split would definitely be a lot closer. Bilibili would start their defense side solid. They win that pistol as well as the anti-eco. Round 3, Wolves would get their first with a good push into B. Round 4, YZ hits a good timing mid. He gets 2. 3-1 Bilibili. There's a timeout from Wolves. Skipping to round 9, it's tied 4-4 at this point. YZ gets a kill with this ult after Juicy satchels in. Wolves get the numbers advantage. It's a 1v2 situation. Levius cannot clutch it. Round 10, Wolves get on site. Bilibili can't retake as Spring gets a nice 3k from elbow. He was on a heater at that point in the match. The very next round, he got a 2k. Round 12, there's chaos on A. Juicy in a 1v2 situation. He gets one. He wide swings and kills the last one, which was Levius. Very, very solid form from Wolves to end that half. So it's 8-4 in favor of Wolves. Bilibili needing to change the momentum to stay in it. And they would do it with a pretty solid start to their attack half. Wolves were trying to push onto A, but Bilibili was waiting for them. They get that all-important pistol. They then win the next 3 rounds in a row, making it 4 total. Round 15, Spring gets a nice timing to get a kill. Wolves lose gun battles on B. Yui left alone, and this one goes away of Bilibili. Round 17, tied game now. Bilibili playing much better. 8-8, Lysor gets a 3k on B to give Wolves the lead back. A very important momentum shift for Wolves to get back in the driver's seat, and they wouldn't let it go this time. Round 19, it's 10-8 for Wolves. Bilibili timed out before this round. Juicy can't get the ult out in time. Bilibili win gunfights A Heaven and get the plant. Bit of a missed opportunity from Wolves there. That was a very important round for Bilibili to get. It stopped the bleeding a little bit, but fortunately for Wolves, they would find an answer the very next round. That would be round 20, where Juicy gets 3 kills mid. There's a terrible push from BLG, and it's 11-8 for Wolves just like that. Round 21, YZ gets an ult kill, but Juicy ends up trading him. It's 4v3 in favor of Bilibili, and they end up winning that one, yet another very crucial round. Closing in on Wolves, but they still do not have the lead. Round 22, there's a fade ult on A, Spring gets 2 mid, that ends up dropping the spike, so Wolves just gotta hold it, and they won the round. Wolves are at match point, one more round gets them to playoffs. And that round would be round 23, Juicy gets an op kill and a kill with his ult, and gets another. Bilibili has a Viper Spit on B, Lysor gets 2, and it is over. Wolves are going to playoffs. YZ was top ranking for his team once again, 19 kills, better than his first map. Sprain yet again a prominent force for Wolves, leading the charge for his team with 21 kills, tied with Juicy. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of Wolves, we have Sprain who went 38, 27, and 17 for plus 11. On the side of Bilibili, we have YZ who went 38, 31, and 8 for plus 7. In terms of the pistols, teams were even on it, 2 apiece. Eco rounds, 2 wins for Wolves, 3 for Bilibili. Half buy, 6 wins for Wolves, 5 for Bilibili, but those full buys were the difference makers, 17 for Wolves, 7 for Bilibili. So Bilibili, I think overall did play quite well during this tournament. They beat Team Liquid earlier in the tournament. That team didn't have Nats. However, it still was a hard-fought battle that they ended up winning. Then they go on to face Sentinels. That's another close match. But then they face off against Wolves, a team that's familiar with them, and they just ended up not having the same amount of confidence as Wolves did. This match probably could have been a 2-1 victory for Wolves if Bilibili had cleaned up their act on map 1. However, that's not what happened. Wolves just playing really well this tournament. They seem to have a very deep team. Spring's looking really good. Juicy has been amazing to watch. Lysor, Yui, Su, Fat Baby, like this team actually has some pretty good shooters on it. We'll see what they end up doing in playoffs. They might have a chance to do something, but we will see how that goes. Moving on, we have PaperX versus Team Liquid, which was one of the craziest matches I have ever seen. For context, I have been watching Valorant esports literally since the beginning, all the way back in 2021, and this isn't the first time there's been an 11-1 comeback, but it's pretty rare. And it's not even just that last map and how crazy that was, it's the entire match. Every single map was just absolutely bonkers. Both teams were choking super hard at some points, both teams were looking incredible at others, some amazing individual moments, and then some just horrific, terrible ones. This is PaperX incarnate. So strap in, folks, because we have a lot to talk about for this one. This might take a while. We start our match on split, this one being PaperX's pick. This one did end up going into overtime. Probably shouldn't have, to be honest. But let's see how we get there. Team Liquid start the match off well by winning the pistol. Getting the kills after planning on A. Very good start for them. They win the next 2 rounds. However, round 4 would be when PaperX gets on the board. Patman has a nice sheriff kill. PaperX win A Heaven gunfights to get their first round. Round 8, PaperX end up cutting Liquid off at B main. It ends up being a 2v1 with Kiko versus Something and Devi. And this was played pretty terribly by PaperX, their positioning being really bad on this one. Just bad patience. Something dies to Kiko's ult, and Kiko just kills Devi right after. It's a Red Bull clutch, but one that probably shouldn't have happened. Round 9, Kiko's on a bit of a heater. He gets 3 kills on B. It's a 3v2 for Liquid. Serial dies. Forsaken gets 2. Liquid end up losing an advantageous round. Round 12, Jane gets a sick 2k. There's a nice flash from Forsaken to make that happen. It's 8-4 PaperX going into the second half. However, the pistol round would not go very well for them. Jane satchels into B and dies. Patatek gets a nice 3k to hold the site. Pistol goes to Liquid. Round 15, PaperX taking the round back. Patman gets a nice 3k. He was looking pretty good throughout this entire match. Nice side hold from PaperX to get their first one of the half. PaperX in the driver's seat at this point. They're looking pretty good. PaperX end up pushing on B. Something wins the Yoru battle, but Liquid cannot retake it. PaperX is at match point. So PaperX now have 4 opportunities to take this map. Do you think they do it? Place your bets, post it in the comments below. Nope, they blow it. With some pretty egregious and crazy rounds, round 22 being the most insane one. Camo ends up pretending to be the Yoru clone. He just sneaks on to B. They watch him walk right past. He's going through a Viper's pit, and then he gets the kills to clutch out the round. Absolute insane round. And it's funny because I was watching the Yorus like throw the clones around, and I was noticing that no one was hitting them. This was like 10 or so rounds earlier where I was just thinking like, man, someone can just do a fake Yoru clone and then probably get some kills, and then ends up happening, and Camo ends up getting a really nice round to win it for Liquid. Round 24, Liquid looking to tie it after winning 3 in a row. Something ults onto A. Kiko then just destroys Paper X, who were trying to push onto site. He uses an ult to do that, and the game is going into overtime. Absolutely bonkers. Now we're into overtime. Liquid win the first one, but round 26, Jane would get a 4K. Real nice play on A. There's a 1v2 for Serial, being the only Liquid player left. He does get Jane, but he doesn't get something. However, Liquid would then win the next round, and then they just need to close out round 28. Paper X go A yet again. They were going to the site a lot. I said they were going back to the well. Ends up being a 2v3. Forsaken gets 1. It's a 2v2 now. Serial gets 1. Forsaken can't kill him. Liquid steal the map. Jane top ranking for Paper X here, 23 kills. He had a 1.03 rating. Something technically had the better rating, but he had 20 kills. On the Team Liquid side, Kiko, easily the MVP for his team, I would think, throughout the entire tournament. 29 kills for him. He was plus 10. He looked quite good. Okay, so now we have the easier map to talk about, this one being a 13-5 victory on Sunset for Paper X. This one being Team Liquid's pick. Paper X familiar with Sunset, but hasn't been played in a while by them. Team Liquid started strong yet again by winning the pistol. Kiko gets 2 near mid. Paper X tried to push B, but Liquid end up getting the kills. Skipping to round 6, after Paper X had won 3 rounds in a row, they get on to B with Liquid playing retake. Paper X use a Viper's Pit, but Liquid ends up fighting them. Bad round from Paper X. They probably should have won that. Just some bad positioning and whiffing on your shots. However, round 8 would go in their favor with Something getting a nice Sova ult. Jane gets a nice one. Paper X win it on the post plant. Round 11, Paper X start on B, but then end up rotating to A. Forsaken tries to ult from B to A, but Camo finds him and shoots his little guy, and then he ends up dying on B because he's the only player left there with like 3 Team Liquid players there. However, disaster averted, ends up being a 2v1 and Paper X win it. Round 12, last round of the half, Paper X gets stalled by Viper's Pit on A. One of them dies, but Devi gets the res. He hadn't used that res all game, felt like he had it for an eternity. A solid play from Paper X to end the half with an advantageous 7-5 lead. And then they would finally get their first pistol of the series at round 13. Camo with just a rough peek there. Paper X go B, they win the pistol without much competition. And then Paper X would go on a 6-round win streak to end this one. Round 15, Camo doesn't see Forsaken. Paper X gets some nice kills onto Liquid to make it 10-5. There's a timeout from Liquid after that. Round 18, 3v3, Patman gets 1, but Nats ends up evening it out. There's a Viper's Pit. Paper X get the kills. We are going to map 3. Very solid end to this one from Paper X, despite Team Liquid having some decent plays. And then we have this absolute mess of a map. Just I don't even have to say anything. Just look at the scoreline. Okay, fine, I'll talk about it. This was... Listen, I haven't really cheered for Paper X to win an international in quite some time. Not because I don't want them to. I absolutely do want them to. I was cheering for them in this match. But it's because I've been burned by Paper X so many times, either predicting them to win or wanting them to win, that at this point I'm just kind of numb, especially with them having a really rough start to the year. Then they made this tournament, and I was like, well, that's a nice surprise. But I am not expecting them to win this tournament. I'm glad they made playoffs, but this map almost broke me. This was just... Oh man, okay. Okay. Let's go through it. Round 1, Liquid can't get set on B. Paper X end up winning the pistol. Paper X finally starting to look good on pistols. They were struggling with it early in the match. Round 3, Nats with a rough swing and he whiffs. Penny gets on A. He's back in the game as well. They swap Serial again. However, Devi ends up getting the kills to put Paper X up 3-0. Round 5, Jane with a nice satchel play. Paper X and Liquid on C main. Looking quite rough for Liquid at this point. It's 5-0 Paper X. Round 7, Liquid win gunfights on A. Something can't win the 2v1. Liquid get on the board finally. However, that wouldn't swing the momentum in their favor yet because Jane ends up getting a 3k on C, 2 of them being from his ult. He was on a heater at that point. Clearly Paper X's best player for large portions of this match. And it's just all Paper X at this point. Their defense side looking incredibly crisp. Not much Liquid can do to stop the train from hitting them on the tracks. Round 12, last round of the half, Liquid get onto site quite well. They have a good play. Forsaken ends up going down. He was just shooting in the wrong place. It should be easy enough for Liquid to clutch this one out, but nope. W Gaming, baby. They retake the site. Devi gets a 3k. Very nice round from Paper X to end the half. However, that is where Paper X's good fortune comes to a screeching halt. If you told me that we were going to play 14 more rounds after an 11-1 lead at the half, I would say that you're stupid. I would call you an idiot. I would say you were dumb. Because that shouldn't happen, right? Because when you have an 11-1 lead, you should win it. Instead, Paper X just started playing like they were in Bronze 1. It's not the only 11-1 comeback that we've seen, but man, it just didn't need to go this way. Okay, let's get through it. Round 13, I write down 11-1, huge hill to climb for Liquid, but as I wrote that down, I also thought that, I've seen some pretty wacky stuff on Lotus. Let's see how this plays out. And oh my god, did it play out in quite a way. And the bad signs for Paper X start showing up early, because on that pistol round, Kiko gets a 4K on C. Liquid finally get a good round. That's what they were looking for. They would then win their anti-eco, but round 15, Paper X get another round. It's a W gaming push on to B. Gene gets 2 with the judge. Nats dies on C. It's match point Paper X. We can wrap this one up, right? Well, not if Liquid can help it. Round 17, Camo cuts off Paper X with a 4K. Very nice play from him. He started to heat up as soon as the second half started. Round 19, Jane trades Penny. Camo gets a nice ult. He gets a kill with it. Paper X plant B. Forsaken overextends a bit though. Patman can't win the 1v3 that he's put in, and that is a Camo ace. Camo really not wanting to go home. He wanted this one back badly. Round 21, the panic is setting in for Paper X. They're playing nervous, they're not hitting their shots. Liquid playing with way more confidence, and this round really should have been a Paper X win. Something ults onto A, so they know that they have the site. However, they get onto site and they just lose all their gun battles. Devi ends up wasting the Vi's ult as Paper X throw a very, very winnable round. That's a timeout for Paper X. Round 22, I put in my notes, Sideshow needs to shut up. And Sideshow, if you're watching, I love you, man. I love your stuff. I love Plat Chat. I would love to be a guest one day. However, I was watching TMV's co-stream to watch this one, and this man needs to understand that he's a jinx. And Sideshow at one point said that if Liquid come back, he will tie himself to a train track. And he kept saying things like, surely Liquid will lose this, surely Paper X will close this one out. And I was just like, stop talking! Understand what you are! You are a jinx, my friend. I remember Crew going on that run that you didn't think they were gonna go on. You need to understand the responsibility that you have to Paper X fans everywhere to just not say stuff like that. I just wanted to point that out. I just thought it was funny that he just kept saying things like, surely Paper X win this round, and then they just don't. It was just, oh my god, it was just like, stop. Anyways, round 22, Paper X just completely blow the push. They just all die as soon as they try to get onto a site. Liquid within shouting distance now. Round 23, this one just absolutely broke my brain. Something, who's playing Yoru, if you haven't noticed by this point, uses his clone to push onto C. So there's a Liquid player in the corner on C. So he sees the clone but doesn't shoot it. So something using this clone to get onto site decides to not check any of the corners, but instead decides to look up, because he's looking for the camera. He's looking for the cipher cam, and he dies. Because of course he dies, because when you enter the site looking like this, it's not exactly a recommended way to play, and the player that was in the corner that you didn't check killed him. It was so frustrating, man. Something was playing so good in map 1, and then just this map started, and so something dies, the rest of Paper X die. It is a terrible, disastrous round from Paper X. So disastrous that after the replay, they showed a clip of Alex saying, "We've lost the match."
We've lost the match. We've lost the match.
Even the coach has just completely lost confidence in his team. This one is just terrible. Round 24, Liquid do it. They tie the game. They just completely blow it on C. It was 11-1. It was 12-3. They had a 10-round lead at some point. Just an absolute disastrous half. Lotus, what a map. This map used to be lopsided on attacker side. Now I guess it's lopsided on defender side because, oh my god. However, Paper X finally wake up in overtime. Both teams end up on C. Players are playing very cautious at this point, no one trying to make a mistake, and the gunfights ends up making it a 1v1 with Patatek versus Forsaken. Forsaken wraps all the way around the site, Patatek starts to do the same. Forsaken gets on the site, Patatek is at waterfall, and they shoot at each other, and Forsaken wins it for Paper X. An absolutely vital and clutch play to finally get Paper X on the board once again. And then round 26, 6. Paper X, their attack side, just abysmal for the entire game because they end up doing what they probably should have done for most of their attacker half and just go A. There was always just one Liquid player on A. It was usually Patatek, and they just couldn't find a way to get through the guy with like an outlaw. I didn't understand why they kept doing that. Liquid needs to retake. Paper X, they get the kills. It's a nice post plant. They get that final one, and this one is finally over. An absolute roller coaster of a game, an unforgettable match. Forsaken saving his team's life on that round 25. They owe him the world. However, Divide did end up top fragging for his team. Most of that came in the first half, obviously. 20 kills for him. And Team Liquid Camo with 25 kills. He was +3. He was pretty slow in the first half, but he woke up in the second. Looking at the team MVPs, on the side of Paper X, we have Gene, who went 31, 20, and 9 for +11. On the side of Team Liquid, we have Kiko, who went 35, 20, and 15 for +7. In terms of pistols, it was 2 for Paper X, 4 for Team Liquid. Eco rounds, 2 wins from Paper X, 4 for Liquid. Half buy wins, 4 for Paper X, 8 for Team Liquid. And full buy wins, 33 for Paper X, 19 for Liquid. So this match was just absolutely bonkers. I will never forget this one. Just a crazy, crazy match. Went on for so long. I do like Team Liquid overall, so it's not like I would have been like super mad if they won, but it was just so frustrating seeing Paper X, a team that I know can do well, just have these heart attack games that they just have these generational chokes. This would have been probably one of the worst chokes of all time if they lost it, so I'm glad it didn't go that way. If Liquid would have moved forward, again, I like their team, I would have been fine with it, but Paper X, they avoid that disaster. They move on to playoffs where they will face G2, but we'll get to that in a different video. Let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of these matches? Let me know who you think is going to win in the playoff bracket, all that stuff and more. Please comment down below. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.